just wish he knew. I just wish he knew.
Well, alrighty then. We're back with another episode of Battle Tactics and War Strategies. For the 5th and 6th Coalition against Napoleon. The man, the myth, the fucking legend. Take care of a couple of things real quick, and then we'll hop into it. Alright. Alrighty, let's see here. Let me fucking do this. Moving on over here to bada bing. Look at that. Transitions are starting to get a little bit smoother in my attempt to bring y'all quality content. So, let's get started with the 5th Coalition, 1809, of Britain, Austria, against France, formed as Britain engaged in the Peninsular War in Spain and Portugal. The sea became a major theater of war against Napoleon's allies. Austria, previously an ally of France, took the opportunity to attempt to restore its imperial territories in Germany as held prior to Austerlitz. During the time of the 5th Coalition, the Royal Navy won a succession of victories in French colonies. On land, the major battles included the Battle of Rysén. It's right here. The Battle of Eckmühl. Rob. Essling. And Wagram. On land, the 5th Coalition attempted extensive military endeavors. 1. The Walcheren Expedition of 1809. Involved a dual effort by the British Army and Royal Navy to relieve Austrian forces under intense French pressure. It ended in disaster after the Army Commander John Pitt, 2nd Earl of Chatham, failed to capture the objective, the naval base of French-controlled Antwerp. For most part of the years of the 5th Coalition, British military operations on land, apart from the Iberian Peninsula, remained restricted to hit-and-run operations executed by the Royal Navy, which dominated the sea after having beaten down almost all substantial naval opposition from France and its allies, and blockading what remained of France's naval forces in heavily fortified French-controlled ports. These rapid attack operations were aimed mostly at destroying blockaded French naval and mercantile shipping, and disruption of French supplies, communications, and military units stationed near coasts. Often, when British allies attempted military actions within several dozen miles or so of the sea, the Royal Navy would arrive, land troops and supplies, and aid to the coalition's land forces in a concerted operation. Royal Navy ships even provided artillery support against French units when fighting strayed near enough to the coastline. The ability and quality of land forces governed these operations. For example, when operating with inexperienced guerrilla forces in Spain, the Royal Navy sometimes failed to achieve its objective because of the lack of manpower that the Navy's guerrilla allies had promised to supply. Austria achieved some initial victories against the thinly spread army of Marshal Berthier. Napoleon left Berthier with only 170,000 men to defend France's eastern frontier. In the 1790s, 800,000 men had carried out the same task, but holding a much shorter front. In the east, the Austrians drove into the Duchy of Warsaw but suffered defeat at the Battle of Ryazan on the 19th of April 1809. The army of the Duchy of Warsaw captured West Galicia following its earlier success. Napoleon assumed personal command and bolstered the army for a counterattack on Austria. After a few small battles, the well-run campaign forced the Austrians to withdraw from Bavaria, and Napoleon advanced into Austria. His hurried attempt to cross the Danube resulted in the major Battle of Asper-Essling. Napoleon's first significant tactical defeat. But the Austrian commander, Archduke Charles, failed to follow up on his indecisive victory, allowing Napoleon to prepare and seize Vienna in early July. He defeated the Austrians at Wagram on the 5th through the 6th of July. It was during the middle of the battle that Marshal Bernadotte was stripped of his command after retreating, contrary to Napoleon's orders. Shortly thereafter, Bernadotte took up the offer from Sweden to fill the vacant position of Crown Prince there. Later, he actively participated in wars against his former emperor. What a dick. Traitor. War of the Fifth Coalition ended with the Treaty of Schönbrunn. The Treaty of Schönbrunn. On the 14th of October, 1809. In the east, only the Tyrolese rebels, led by Andreas Hofer, continued to fight the French Bavarian army until finally defeated in November 1809. In the west, the Peninsular War continued. Economic warfare between Britain and France continued. The British continued a naval blockade of the French-controlled territory. Due to military shortages and lack of organization in French territory, many breaches of the continental system occurred, and the French continental system was largely ineffective and did little economic damage to Great Britain. Both sides entered further conflicts in attempts to enforce their blockade. As Napoleon realized that extensive trade was going through Spain and Russia, he invaded those two countries. The British fought the United States in the War of 1812. Wait, where is that? There it is. There it is. There's my 1812 photo. In 1810, the French Empire reached its greatest extent. Napoleon married Marie-Louise, an Austrian archduchess, with the aim of ensuring a more stable alliance with Austria and providing an emperor with an heir, something his first wife Josephine had failed to do. As well as the French Empire, Napoleon controlled the Swiss Confederation, the Confederation of the Rhine, the Duchy of Warsaw, and the Kingdom of Italy. Territories allied with the French included the kingdoms of Denmark and Norway, the Kingdom of Spain under Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's elder brother, the Kingdom of Westphalia, Jerome Bonaparte, Napoleon's younger brother, the Kingdom of Naples under Joachim Murat, husband of Napoleon's sister Caroline, the Principality of Lucca, and Piombino under Eliza Bonaparte, Napoleon's sister, and her husband Felice Bacciochi. And Napoleon's former enemies, Sweden, Prussia, and Austria. The Napoleonic Wars were the direct cause of the wars in Americas and elsewhere. Fucking dicks. The Serbian Revolution coincided with the Russo-Turkish War 1806 to 1812, in which the French diplomat Horace Francois Bastien Sebastiani de la Porta played a very important role in provoking the war, which were a proxy conflict of the coalition wars, having most of the time Serbs revolutionaries the support of the Russian Empire, while the Ottoman Empire was an ally of the French Empire. Yeah, everybody's fighting proxy wars throughout history. It's not a new thing. This was due to the fact that both empires feared Napoleon's moves to the east, as the subsequent Peace of Pressburg brought France into Balkan affairs. Most radical liberal rebels were also inspired in some way by the French Revolution, specifically the rise of nationalism and the autonomy of the Illyrian provinces. Serbs initially felt the French presence in the region could have developed into a military aid in support of the insurrection against the Ottoman rule as a sister republic, but Napoleon didn't want to increase Russian or Austrian influence in the region. During the first phase, from 1804 to 1806, it was a conservative reaction to new abuses by the Janissaries and the Dahis. After they were killed, Hadi Mustafa Pasha, vizier of the Sanjak of Smederevo, had created a militia of Serb notables and realized the slaughter of the Nizes, because of the Janissaries expelled from the Belgrade, found refuge with Ottoman Pazventoglu. These names, holy shit. Osman Pazventoglu. Alright. Governor of the Sanjak of Vidin, in present-day Bulgaria, who pursued his own policy and sought independence, which brought him into conflict with the Serbs and later with the Sublime Porte. Thus, the Serbs appealed to Sultan Selim III for assistance against the Dahis, who had since rejected the authority of Porte. Also, Karađorđe negotiated with the Austrian captain Sačtinski. Fucking names. At this meeting, he expressed the wish of the Serbian people that the Austrian Empire receive him as kingdom under his protection like in the past, as occupation of the 1788 to 1791 was still a fresh memory. However, the Austrian authorities, due to difficulties with Napoleon and because they wanted to maintain their neutrality, in order to be correct with the Porte, could not accept his offers. So the Serbs were forced to ask for protection of the Russians, and therefore, on May 3rd, 1804, the Serb leaders sent a letter to Russia envoy in Constantinople, in which they spoke of the problems and wishes of Serbian people, but they also stressed that they would continue to be loyal to the Sultan. Shatinsky? Yes, sir. What's up, Shane? How's it going? Is that when you really gnarly jump skiing as a beginner and you shit your pants on the way down? Yeah, I mean, you could also shit your pants on the way up, too. Might give you a little bit of a boost, you never know. I mean, you are expelling weight downward and at the same time moving upward, so in theory, it would give you at least a micro boost in some way. Due to the recent Russo-Ottoman alliance against France's expanding influence in the Balkans, the approach of the French troops to the Turkish territories, like occupation of Corfu and other Ionian islands in 1797 to 99, influenced the Porte to conclude an alliance with Russia in 1798. The Russian government had a neutral policy towards the Serbian revolt until summer 1804. in which the goal was now having Constantinople recognize Russia as the grantor of peace in the region. Yeah. Gotta remember, the church had a lot of authority in this time, and Russia is very, very Orthodox Christian. No, I think that's overthinking. Maybe it is. Maybe it is, Shane. In 1806, the Serbs rejected Ico's peace. The Ottomans seemed ready to grant Serbia autonomy, similar to that enjoyed by neighboring Wallachia, in order to enter in Napoleonic Wars as an ally of the French, as they declared Russian support for their independence, starting a new phase of the uprising in which the Serbs planned to create their own national state, which would also include the territories of Bosnia and Herzegovina. All right. Interesting. As well as the Pashaliks of Vidin, Nis, Leskovac, and Pazar. Also, in the traditionalist circles of Serbian rebels, Petar I of Montenegro developed a plan in 1807 to restore the medieval Serbian Empire, the Slaveno-Serb Empire, consisting on unify Podgorica, Spuz, Zabeljak, the Bay of Kotor, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Dubrovnik, and Dalmatia, with Montenegro, which he informed the Russian court and was also viewed by Habsburg Serb Metropolitan Stefan Stratimirovic. Fucking names, man. Holy shit. Difficulty over 9,000. Let's go. The title of Emperor of the Serbs would be held by the Russian Emperor as Tsar, but with the condition that the Russians respected the independence, autocephaly of the Montenegrin Orthodox Church. Again, pointing out, Church has a major influence. So, in February 1807, Petar planned an invasion of Herzegovina by Montenegrin forces, and he asked for Karađorđe's aid, wanting to connect the territory occupied by the Serbian rebel forces in Montenegro, which succeeded after the Battle of Suvadal in 1809. The support of Montenegro for the Serbs was reinforced due to the fact that in the War of 1807-1812, Ottoman troops, supported by the French detachments on Illyria, attacked Montenegro along the entire border, and the Montenegrins did not have time to repel all the attacks. That was just one fucking keyboard mash name? No kidding. No, this guy earlier, hold on. I'll go back and reread this dude earlier's name. Holy shit, man. Let me finish this fucking paragraph. Oh my god. However, they managed to force the French troops to withdraw from Dubrovnik, and conquered the Bay of Kotor. Napoleon himself offered Petar I the title of Patriarch of the entire Serbian nation, or of the entire Illyricum, on the condition that he cease operations with Russia and accept a French protectorate, which he refused for fear of an eventual Papal States jurisdiction or an anti-clerical policy. You know, honestly, W Serbian king, dude. Like W. So let me go back to this fucking French guy over here. Hold on. Horaci Francois Bastien Sebastiani de la Porta. Yeah, that's a fucking mouthful, man. That is a mouthful. Holy shit. However, the Treaty of Tilsit, oh shit, Tilsit, between France and Russia against the Ottomans helped put a stop to the hostilities in the Balkans, with a truce taking place which was perceived extremely negatively in Serbia despite the fact that the truce did not apply to the Serb rebels. Although there was a secret clause that provides for division of Turkish possessions in the Balkans between Russia and France, and the cancellation of the Slaveno-Serb Empire project. In 1809, Karađorđe appealed to an alliance with the Habsburgs, and Napoleon, with no success, even wrote personally to Napoleon seeking military assistance, and in 1810 dispatched an emissary to the French Empire. However, the French did not believe that the rebels had the military capacity to defeat the Ottomans or expose them from the Balkans. In 1812, under pressure from Napoleon, Russia was forced to sign the Treaty of Bucharest, which restored peace with the Ottomans, with one of the clauses of the treaty provided for the maintenance of Serbian autonomy. Also, a truce was signed according to the Article 8 of the treaty. Get wrecked. Then the Russians encouraged Karađorđe and his followers to negotiate directly with the Porte. You know, all these years of, the years of all this was going on, what ended up happening in North America in 1812, thinking the Americans saw weakness in the British Empire while they were fighting Napoleon and tried to go after Canada while fighting was going on in Europe, knowing they wouldn't be able to send anything over, or perhaps just inspired them to try something. Well, it's funny you bring that up, Shane, because I'm going to very briefly go over that. And I was actually thinking about doing that one next, after this. If you would like, I would. I'll do the War of 1812 after we're done with Napoleonic Wars. I'll go back and we'll go over the War of 1812 and we'll talk specifically about that. The United States seeing a weakness in Britain on multiple occasions. But here's this. Briefly going over the War of 1812 coincided with the War of the Sixth Coalition. Historians in the United States and Canada see it as a war in its own right, while Europeans often see it as a minor theater of Napoleonic Wars. The United States declared war on Britain because of British military support for Native Americans, interference with American ships, forced enlistment of American sailors into the Royal Navy, and a desire to expand its territory. France had interfered as well, and the United States had considered declaring war on France. The war ended in a military stalemate, and there were no boundary changes at the Treaty of Ghent, which took effect early in 1815 when Napoleon was on Elba. 1812 was pretty important in North American history. All right. Shit, let's do that next then. We'll do the War of 1812 next. 'Cause there's only one more stream of Napoleon that's gonna happen tomorrow night, and then I'll need another one. So now we have that other one. The War of 1812, let's fucking go. Oh man, I structured this one so much better. It's so much easier not having to go through and click this and find the fucking picture when you could just scroll through like picture by fucking picture. Holy shit, man. Next level. Number the pictures in order so that you just they go in order. Check that out. Not alphabetical, they go numerical for the win. For the fucking win. It's the little things. It is the little things in life. You know, just the smallest shit can make you the happiest sometimes. And a lot of the times I think they get overlooked. People need to appreciate the little things in life, because they're the fucking best. They happen all the time. The abdication of King Charles IV of Spain and Ferdinand VII of Spain and the installation of Napoleon's brother King Jose provoked civil wars and revolutions leading to the independence of most of Spain's mainland American colonies. Oops. You want to talk about somebody who saw an opportunity? It was Latin America. They were like, guess what? Spain's at war with France. We're at war with Spain. We want our own independence. Wrecked. Ha ha ha. In Spanish America, many local elites formed juntas and set up mechanisms to rule in the name of Ferdinand VII, whom they considered the legitimate Spanish monarch. The outbreak of the Spanish-American Wars of Independence and most of the empire was a result of Napoleon's destabilizing actions in Spain and led to the rise of strongmen in the wake of these wars. The defeat of Napoleon at Waterloo in 1815 caused an exodus of French soldiers into Latin America, where they joined ranks with the armies and the independence movements. While these officials had a role in various victories, such as the capture of Valdivia in 1820, and some are held responsible for significant defeats at the hands of the Royalists, as was the case at the Second Battle of Cancha Rayada in 1818. In contrast, the Portuguese royal family escaped to Brazil and established the court there, resulting in political stability for the Portuguese American. In 1816, Brazil was proclaimed an equal part of the United Kingdom of Portugal. Brazil and the Algarves, paving the way to Brazilian independence 6 years later. The Haitian Revolution began in 1791, just before the French Revolutionary Wars, and continued until 1804. France's defeat resulted in the independence of Saint-Domingue and led Napoleon to sell the territory making up the Louisiana Purchase to the United States. Let's fucking go! Oh. Horseman Closet has a massive smile. Dude just loves riding his horse and swinging his sword. I'm telling you, this guy's like, yeah, buddy. Ha. Shit. And then briefly, the Barbary Wars. During the Napoleonic Wars, the United States, Sweden, and Sicily fought against the Barbary pirates in the Mediterranean. Kind of want to go over that one too. Maybe we'll do that one after after the War of 1812. But like, the Barbary Wars are pretty interesting. It's like Pirates of the Mediterranean instead of Pirates of the Caribbean. And of course, we all know what happened next. The Treaty of Tilsit in 1807 resulted in the Anglo-Russian War. Emperor Alexander I declared war on Britain after the British attack on Denmark in September 1807. British men of war supported the Swedish fleet during the Finnish War and won victories over the Russians in the Gulf of Finland in July 1808 and August 1809. The success of the Russian army on land, however, forced Sweden to sign peace treaties with Russia in 1809 and with France in 1810, and to join the blockade against Britain. But Franco-Russian relations would become progressively worse after 1810, and the Russian War with Britain effectively ended. In April 1812, Britain, Russia, and Sweden signed secret agreements directed against Napoleon. Now, I want to point something out. Sweden and Russia have had beef for a long fucking time. Now, I know Sweden likes to remain neutral, but I'll point something out. They have set their military up in a way that they can cover their entire country in a matter of fucking minutes. All their planes can be serviced by a small team of people that are, like, mildly trained and one, like, supervisor. And then on top of that, all of their planes can be landed on roadways. They designed their roadways that way. So they can just land their planes in fucking towns, repair them real quick, and then take off and get back to war. Like, Sweden ain't fucking around, man. They've had to, like, build up their defenses to specifically deal with Russia by themselves if they ever had to. And that's basically what they focused on since like 1700s. It's wild. W Sweden. Just throwing that out there. W Sweden. I may be a little biased because I'm majorly Swedish, but still W Sweden. The central issue for both Napoleon and Tsar Alexander I was control over Poland. Each wanted a semi-independent Poland, and he could control. As Easdale notes, implicit in the idea of Poland was, of course, a war against Napoleon. Schroeder says Poland was the root cause of Napoleon's war with Russia, but Russia's refusal to support the continental system was also a factor. I think that was probably the main factor, was like Russia's refusal to do whatever the fuck Napoleon wanted them to do. Like, Napoleon's like, yeah, we're gonna do this new continental system, and Russia was like, no, we're not. Napoleon's like, oh yeah, we're not? We'll see about that. And he unfortunately saw himself. What happens when you fucking invade Russia in the winter? In 1812, at the height of his power, Napoleon invaded Russia with the pan-European Grande Armée, consisting of 450,000 men to 600,000 men, 200,000 Frenchmen, and many soldiers of allies or subject areas. The French forces crossed the Niemen River on the 24th of July, 1812. Russia proclaimed a patriotic war, and Napoleon proclaimed a second Polish war. The Poles supplied almost 100,000 men for the invasion force, but against their expectations. Napoleon avoided any concessions to Poland, having in mind further negotiations with Russia. The Grande Armée marched through Russia, winning some relatively minor engagements and a major battle of Smolensk. I think I actually have a picture for Smolensk. It's back here. Not that far back. Not that far back. Holy shit. Nope. There it is. There it is. I added a couple secondary ones just to throw them in there, so they're not all numbered. But next time they fucking will be like a champ. All right. In the same days, part of the French army led by Marshal Nicholas Oudinot was stopped in the Battle of Polotsk by the right wing of the Russian army under command of General Peter Wittgenstein. I don't know, whatever. His name is weird. This prevented the French march on the Russian capital, St. Petersburg. The fate of the invasion was decided in Moscow, where Napoleon led his forces in person. The main Russian army was commanded by Field Marshal Michael Andreas Barclay de Tolly. That doesn't sound very Russian. But alright, who recognized that Napoleon's immediate goal was a decisive battle to crush the main Russian force in the west. In response, the Russian army used scorched earth tactics as it withdrew east and hurried the Grande Armée with light Cossack cavalry. The Grande Armée did not adjust its operational methods in response. Provisioning such an enormous army with adequate food and fresh water had proven difficult since the very start of the campaign. Exacerbated by the sparse terrain of western Russia, diseases such as typhus and dysentery rapidly became rampant among the rank and file. These factors led to most of the losses of the main column of the Grande Armée, which in one case amounted to 95,000 to 115,000 men, including deserters, in a week. In a single week. Fuck. Well, hello, Caldy and Amanda. Welcome in. Welcome in. I am doing well. I'm just very tired. I've had 1.5 hours of sleep total since, well, doing verbal combat all night last night after working all day yesterday and then working all day today. So I'm fucking exhausted. Forgive me if this stream is not very long. But I still wanted to get one out because I know nobody else really streams on Saturdays. I mean, Fredo Franzarelli is live right now if y'all want to go give him a like. But yeah, I know nobody really streams on Saturdays, so I wanted to at least give some entertainment to the people, right? Why not? The main Russian army retreated for almost 3 months. This constant retreat led to the increasing unpopularity of Barclay de Tolly, who was Baltic German and already mistrusted by the Russian elite, and a respected Russian veteran. Prince Mikhail Kutuzov was made the new commander-in-chief by Tsar Alexander. Finally, the two armies engaged in the Battle of Borodino on the 7th of September, and in the vicinity of Moscow. The battle was the largest and bloodiest single-day action of the Napoleonic Wars, involving more than 250,000 men and resulting in at least 70 to 100,000 casualties. Oh, holy shit. You fell asleep the first hour of VK? Yeah. VK went on, and it got extended by an hour, and then it got extended by another hour, which I unfortunately couldn't stay for because I have to let my chickens out and my goats fucking do their thing, and I have to start getting the water ready for all the fucking vegetables and all that shit, and that takes forever. It takes hours. Like 150 fucking plants. And mixing the nutrients for all the water for all those plants is fucking exhausting. And it was hot as fuck today. But we pushed on, we made it happen, and here we are. Let's fucking go. The battle was indecisive. Literally, what I went through in the last 24 hours is nothing in comparison to what these men went through during this war. So, like, I cannot bitch. I have no room to bitch in my comfortable life in today's day and age. I don't think anybody has a room to bitch, right? About anything. Finally, easy to pronounce names. No kidding. No fucking kidding. Dysentery. Nothing a banana can't cure. Ta. Ha ha. Shit. The battle was indecisive. The French captured the main positions on the battlefield but failed to destroy the Russian army. While Kutuzov had recognized the political need to give battle, he also recognized that Barclay de Tolly's strategies had proven effective, and that the Grande Armée was bleeding personnel and supplies more and more severely with every step they took deeper into Russia. Napoleon's logistical difficulties meant the French casualties simply could not be replaced, whereas the Russian army could reinforce itself far more readily. Wrecked. Napoleon entered Moscow on the 14th of September after Russian army had retreated yet again. By then, the Russians had largely evacuated the city and released criminals from the prisons to inconvenience the French. The governor, Count Fyodor Rostopchin, ordered the city to be burnt. Alexander, and they were very effective at burning the city. It wasn't like they fucking just left a bunch of buildings. No, they burnt that shit to the ground. Alexander I refused to capitulate, and the peace talks attempted by Napoleon failed. Rather than withdraw further east, the Russian army withdrew south, rebuilding its strength and preparing to interfere with the French withdrawal. In October, with no sign of clear victory in sight, Napoleon began the disastrous Great Retreat from Moscow. Shitty. You just gave him a sub and a like. Let's go. The French tried to reach Kaluga and swing through southern Russia where they could find food and forage supplies. And the Battle of... Oh, fuck. Here we go again. Malayaroslavets nailed it. The replenished Russian army blockaded the road to Kaluga. While an indecisive engagement, it nevertheless doomed the Grande Armée, with the Russians refusing to be dislodged, Napoleon was forced to retreat back down the Smolensk road along which he had already advanced, and which had already been denuded of supplies, most crucially, food. The French supply chain, already in tatters from the attrition of wagons and horses, began to collapse completely. The lack of horses also rendered Napoleon's cavalry ineffective, leaving the Grand Army vulnerable to sustained guerrilla warfare by Russian peasants and irregular troops. The Grand Army was dealt a further catastrophic blow by the onset of the Russian winter. Which the underfed and undersupplied Grand Army was unprepared to cope with. Not only that, it was an unusually quick onset for an unusually cold winter. Very unfortunately for Napoleon. Like, that shit came in quick and it came in hard. The fjord just fucking bitch slapped Napoleon. Like, nope. You're gonna learn a lesson today, buddy. You don't fuck with Mother Nature. Oh, ha. When the remnants of Napoleon's army struggled across the Berezina River in November with the Russian army in pursuit, only 27,000 foot soldiers survived, with 380,000 men dead or missing and 100,000 to 150,000 captured. Napoleon then left his men and returned to Paris to prepare the defense against the advancing Russians. The campaign had effectively ended on the 14th of December 1812, when the last enemy troops left Russia. The Russians had lost around 210 to 240,000 men, but with their shorter supply lines, they soon replenished their armies. For every 6 soldiers of the Grand Army that entered Russia, only 1 would make it out in fighting condition. Dang. Couldn't imagine going through that? Me neither. Holy shit. That's wild as shit. But I just want to point this out. Napoleon is not the first one to try and invade Russia in the winter and dramatically fail. You'd think he would have kind of seen it coming. I mean, this is where your ambitions get too great and your judgment gets blinded. It's like that story. I want to say it's like Hermes or something. Flew too high and the sun melted the wings on his fucking sandals and he fell. Got too high. His ambitions were too strong. Clouded his judgment. Tried too hard. Got so far. In the end, it doesn't even matter. Oh shit, it's almost like Linkin Park was trying to tell you something. Seeing an opportunity in Napoleon's historic defeat, Prussia, Sweden, and several other German states switched sides, joining Russia, the United Kingdom, and others opposing Napoleon. They were like, oh shit, they're winning. We're gonna jump to the winning side real quick. And then we're gonna say we won! No, you fucking didn't, you slimy, traitorous fucks. Anyways. Napoleon vowed that he would create a new army as large as the one he had sent into Russia and quickly built up his forces in the east from 30,000 to 130,000 and eventually to 400 to 450,000. Napoleon inflicted 40,000 casualties on his allies at Lutzen, 2nd of May 1813, and Bautzen, 20th and 21st of May 1813. Both battles involved forces over 250,000, making them some of the largest conflicts of the war so far. Clemens von Metternich in November 1813 offered Napoleon the Frankfurt proposals. They would allow Napoleon to remain emperor, but France would be reduced to its natural frontiers and lose control of most of Italy and Germany and the Netherlands. Napoleon still expected to win the wars and rejected the terms. By 1814, As the Allies were closing in on Paris, Napoleon did agree to the Frankfurt proposals, but it was too late to end the rejected new harsher terms proposed by the Allies. Yep, had to reject the terms. In the Peninsular War, Arthur Wesley, 1st Duke of Wellington, renewed the Anglo-Portuguese advance into Spain just after the new year of 1812, besieging and capturing the fortified towns of Ciudad Rodrigo, Badajoz, and crushing a French army at the Battle of Salamanca. I actually have a picture of that one. Hold on. Let's go back to the Battle of Salamanca. Bow. As the French regrouped, the Anglo-Portuguese entered Madrid and advanced towards Burgos, before retreating all the way to Portugal when renewed French concentration threatened to trap them. As a consequence of Salamanca campaign, the French were forced to end their long siege of Cadiz and to permanently evacuate the provinces of Andalusia and Asturias. In a strategic move, Wellesley planned to move his supply base from Lisbon to Santander. The Anglo-Portuguese forces swept north in late May and seized Burgos. On the 21st of June at Vitoria, combined Anglo-Portuguese and Spanish armies won against Joseph Bonaparte, finally breaking the French power in Spain. The French had to retreat from the Iberian Peninsula over the Pyrenees. The belligerents declared an armistice from the 4th of June 1813, continuing until the 13th of August, during which the time both sides attempted to recover from the loss of approximately 250,000 men in the preceding 2 months. You're hilarious, Damien. Thank you. So we got a deal for you, Napoleon. How about nah? Yeah. He probably took their deal and wiped his butt with it and slammed it back on the table like, here, that's what I think about your damn deal. Ha! During this time, the coalition negotiations finally brought Austria out in open opposition to France. 2 principal Austrian armies took the field, adding 300,000 men to the coalition armies in Germany. The Allies now had around 800,000 frontline soldiers in German theater, with a strategic reserve of 350 formed to support the frontline operations. 350 by, what I mean by that is 350,000, right? Not just 350. Napoleon succeeded in bringing the imperial forces in the region to around 650,000, although only 250,000 came under his direct command, with another 120,000 under Nicholas Charles Oudinot, Nicolas Charles Oudinot, and 30,000 under Devoe. The remaining imperial forces came mostly from the Confederation of the Rhine, especially Saxony and Bavaria. In addition, to the south, Murat's kingdoms of Naples and Eugene of Beauharnais. Kingdom of Italy had 100,000 armed men. In Spain, another 150 to 200,000 French troops steadily retreated before Anglo-Portuguese forces numbering around 100,000. Thus, around 900,000 Frenchmen in all theaters faced around 1.8 million coalition soldiers, including the strategic reserve under formation in Germany. The gross figures may mislead slightly, as most of German troops fighting on the side of the French fought at best unreliably and stood on the verge of defecting to the Allies. One can reasonably say that Napoleon could count on no more than 450,000 men in Germany, which left him outnumbered about 4 to 1. Wild. Following the end of the armistice, Napoleon seemed to have regained the initiative at Dresden. In August 1813, where he once again defeated the numerically superior coalition army and inflicted enormous casualties while sustaining relatively few. Because he's a fucking legend and that's what he does every time. The failures of his marshals and slow resumption of the offensive on his part cost him any advantage that this victory might have secured. At the Battle of Leipzig, in Saxony, the 16th through the 19th of October 1813, also called the Battle of the Nations, 191,000 French fought more than 300,000 allies, and the defeated French had to retreat into France after the French withdrawal from Germany. Napoleon's remaining ally, Denmark and Norway, became isolated and fell to the coalition. Damn it. Napoleon then fought a series of battles in France, including the Battle of Arcis-sur-Aube. But the overwhelming numbers of the Allies steadily forced him back. The Allies entered Paris on the 30th of March, 1814. Damn, what a wonderful day to enter Paris. On the 30th of March, 1814. What a fantastic day, that 30th of March. During this time, Napoleon fought his 6 days campaign, in which he won many battles against the enemy forces advancing towards Paris. During this entire campaign, he never managed to field more than 70,000 men against more than 500,000 coalition soldiers. At the Treaty of Chaumont, on the 9th of March, 1814, the Allies agreed to preserve the coalition until Napoleon's total defeat. Napoleon, determined to fight on, even now, incapable of fathoming his fall from power. During the campaign, he had issued a decree for 900,000 fresh conscripts, but only a fraction of these materialized, and Napoleon's schemes for victory eventually gave way to the reality of his hopeless situation. Napoleon abdicated on the 6th of April. Occasional military actions continued in Italy, Spain, and Holland. In early 1814, an armistice was signed with the Allied powers on the 23rd of April, 1814. The first Treaty of Paris, signed on the 30th of May, 1814, officially ended the War of the Sixth Coalition. The victors exiled Napoleon to the island of Elba and restored the French Bourbon monarchy in the person of Louis the XVIII. Louis the XVIII. They signed the Treaty of Fontainebleau on the 11th of April, 1814, and initiated the Congress of Vienna to redraw the map of Europe. To redraw the map of fucking Europe. Holy shit, we made it through all of that relatively quickly. Let's fucking go. My goodness, what a legend. Next, we're gonna finish it off with the War of the Seventh Coalition after he comes back from Elba, regains power, and is like, I'm the fucking champ, nobody keeping me down. And then they send him off and wait till he dies and chop off his pee-pee. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. But that's what we're gonna cover next time. I think we pretty much nailed it this time. I think I got through all the difficult fucking names. Oh, by the way, we're going to go over the War of 1812 because it's kind of relevant. And since it's in the same time period and we already kind of touched up on it and Shane suggested it, we're going to do it after Napoleon is done. So that'll be the next one, immediately after the Napoleonic Wars is concluded, which will be tomorrow night's stream. We'll finish off the Napoleonic Wars. And then we'll jump right into the War of 1812. Because it's relevant. It's fucking some shit to talk about. It's important. Nobody gonna keep me down. And then they kept him down. They kept him down for sure. Unfortunate. What can you do, though? You tried. You gave it everything you had. And in the end, can you really do anything? He had the entire world against him, basically. I mean, that's one thing you gotta think about. The guy literally was fighting the entire world by the time it was the 7th Coalition. It's like everybody's against him except for his own soldiers. Like a bunch of legends. They were like, hell yeah. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Shit. Man. But yeah. I'm gonna call it pretty early tonight, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. Because tomorrow night, since we only have the War of the 7th Coalition, and I'm gonna go over some of the political bullshit that happened as a result, because that's relevant too. But then after that, we're just gonna kind of chill and talk about the shit as a whole. Go over some of the Napoleonic tactics that were used throughout the entire series of wars. And we're gonna kind of hang out and just bullshit. So tomorrow night should be pretty fun. But as for tonight, as for this evening, my time with you all, unfortunately, is drawing to a close. So, wherever you're at in the world, no matter what time it is, morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night, it doesn't fucking matter. Enjoy your time, because it may be limited. You might go, take a step out your front door, and slip on a banana peel and crack your skull on the concrete. Oops. Your time might be limited. So enjoy it. Waste none of it. Embrace every second like there isn't another one. And life will be completely fulfilling and totally enjoyable. As for me, my time is up. Much love to you all. Have a wonderful night.
I just wish he knew. I just wish he knew.